Hello guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to a film review, probably the first horror film review of 2025. I'm not sure, but anyway, we're looking at a Arrow video release tonight of a film called Loop Track. So this came out last year or so. I think the film was made in 2022, 2023, something like that. This edition comes with a slipcase. It comes with a Blu-ray disc, reversible cover. It comes with a poster, which obviously is it's only a small little poster, but it's got both artworks on there. So it comes with a poster, and it comes with a little booklet as well about the film. Now this is it's a survival comedy creature feature. Horror film. That's the only way I can describe it. It's about a guy called Ian. Now Ian's a bit of a nervous wreck. We meet Ian straight away in the film, and he's a nervous wreck. He's a very sort of like humble sort of man, a bit like a cross between Frank Spencer and Mr. Bean, if you like. He's like that, and he's very sort of like weak, if you like. And he's going on this hike in New Zealand through this forest, and the hike's called Loop Track. So he's going on this like multi-day sort of hike where there's different huts like throughout the sort of like hike. Anyway, he's doing this to get away from humanity and get away from things, because he's just fed up of being a loser, making wrong decisions, he reckons. Anyway, he's off and he's avoiding everything and anyone. He's not a hiker. He's not really prepared for it. And he's sort of like out of breath just shortly throughout the hike. And then he sees this couple sort of like hiking in front of him. So he hides and tries to avoid them. He's trying to avoid every sort of human being. So he sort of avoids them. And they start taking photos and they stand still. So he decides to sort of veer around them through the forest and stuff like this, off track, and eventually gets around the other side of them. And he thinks, thank goodness. And they start to walk and carry on. And it's a waste of time. So he then starts running to keep away from them. And then he hides behind a tree, and some guy turns up. And he says, all right. And he starts talking to him and says, oh, I've seen you. I thought I'll catch you up and have a chat with you. And Ian just wants to be left alone. But this guy, chat. Anyway, and this guy decides to team up with him and go with him on this trek. Ian's really not up for that. But because he's so weak and humble, he just sort of lets him join along. And then they walk along. And this guy just yakety yaks the whole trip about all the things he's done, how wonderful he is and stuff. And then they finally get to the first hut. And when they arrive there, the woman and the guy that Ian saw earlier are there too. So now there's a foursome of them. And Ian tries to escape during the night away from them. He tries to get out and sort of get away from them. But when he sort of goes out during the night, he hears noises in the woods, and he thinks he sees this sort of shape in the distance. So he's a bit petrified, so he heads back to the hut. And he tells the others that he's seen this thing out there. Anyway, they all don't believe him, and he's sort of like, they settle down for the night, apart from Ian, who just stays awake. And then the next day, they all go off again on the next hike. And Ian starts seeing things. He starts to hear and see things behind him. And again, they all sort of like not believing him, not seeing anything and stuff like this. It's just Ian that's seeing it. And then they make their way through all these sort of like little adventures on the way to the next hut. And they get to the next hut. Ian starts to disclose himself a little bit to one of the guys and saying that he can't sleep. He just cannot sleep. He's just trying to escape all these bad decisions he's made. And we don't know what they are. And so the guy gives him some sleeping pills. And in this hut, there's a couple of backpacks in there of a couple of hikers, and they don't know who they are or where they are. And eventually they sort of turn up, and all these sort of wonderful little adventure story. And then the story sort of gathers up a bit of pace as the guy that Ian first sort of meets up with disappears. We don't see him again. And then sort of like Ian's convinced he's been taken by this creature, and the other two don't believe him. And is there a creature? Well, I've just told you it is a creature feature, and it's really, really cool. It's such a good film. It was such good fun. It was so funny. It was so eerie and scary, and it was a great sort of like survival horror film. I'm trying to think, oh, what can I compare it to? Could I compare it to The Ritual crossed with Troll Hunter? I don't know. It's a very, very strange one. It's almost so unique. It's on its own, but it's really, really cool. It runs for an hour and 35 minutes. It's a New Zealand horror film, I believe, with like some like New Zealand and Australian actors in it. And it's really, really cool. And I absolutely loved every minute of it. And the hour and a half, it just flew by. It just really flew by. It was so cool. The characters were so cool in the film. You kind of, there's only 4 main characters in the film. You know, Ian and the other 3 hikers. And it's just so, and you hear all these different sort of stories upon them, and all these bizarre sort of things happen to them. And poor Ian is stuck with them all. And he just feels absolutely lost, and all he wants is to be left alone for peace and quiet, but he can't get it. And there was a point in the film I thought, is Ian a killer? You know, and Ian starts sort of hallucinating that one of them is the killer and all this sort of thing, because the girls were missing. They found the backpacks, like I said, in the hut, and he thinks one of them's a killer, but the girls turn up. And so it's a really cool sort of film. And the guy that Ian meets, he's one of these really annoying blokes that knows everything, has done it all before. He's got every bit of equipment with him. He knows everything. He goes to this river and he drinks the water from the river, and the people say, "We should be doing that." And then he gets the shits for the rest of the film. It's such a cool film. It's really, really good. The pluses of this edition, it looks amazing. It looks stunning. A really good looking film. The acting is really cool. It's really good fun and really enjoyable. Every character has a reason to be there. And the creature, when we get to see it, is really cool too. Absolutely brilliant. Even those moments are quite fun. And there is a couple of, there's not many, you don't see many deaths in the film. There is a little bit of gore in the latter part of the film, but that's really, really cool too. So I'm going to score this film an amazing watch and give it a 9 out of 10. It was that good. It deserves a 9 out of 10. I just had such a good time. I just thought, it reminds me of this and this, and sort of Tucker and Dale, and all these sort of weird sort of like sort of comedy horrors, but then it had some serious elements in there as well, you know. And it was just like, wow, are we approaching on this creature's environment, or is he approaching on, is that sort of a questions and stuff like that you ask yourself. And it's such a good film, and you really, really have all your fingers crossed for Ian to hope, make sure he makes it out alive. Loop Track, 9 out of 10. Any of you guys seen it? If you have, let me know down below. It's a mixed bag. It's a strange little one, this one, because when you first put it on, you think, oh, this is going to be like a killer in the woods sort of thing, you know, because you see these sort of shadows at night, looks like a person, and you hear these noises and stuff. You think they're being stalked by someone, or like a lost tribe, or is it going to turn into a cannibal film or something? But as it plays out, it's sort of, it's what is happening, and then all of a sudden it turns into this creature feature, and it's absolutely wonderful. Really, really cool. Highly recommend seeing it if you haven't. Really good film. Until my next video, guys, please check out some other channels. Check out Horror Hands, Horror Geek, Man View Film, RS Design, Pizzlewell, I Am Icelord, Cat Watches Horror Movies, and Grumpy Andrew's Haunted House. And a massive shout out to the Maniac, and a massive shout out to the Lad. Till next time, look after yourselves, look after one another, and I really do hope I'll see you all soon.